Hello and good afternoon, and why not say good evening to all of those who will be following us later on, meeting us this one more Saturday that we come together to spread the good news, to spread our love with one another in this amazing Saturday with the SSB friends and all of us. As usual, we would like to read a passage of the book Happy Life so we can harmonize ourselves more than we already are, since we have been waiting for this moment the whole week, the whole weekend as well. Well, the beginning of the weekend, and to meet with one another and to meet with this message. To this afternoon into this evening, we'll have our dear friend Adriano Barbo with us, speaking about the peace within us. But as I said, let us read a passage of the book Happy Life and pray together so we can pass the word to our dear friend. Giovanna D'Angelo in this book and in this chapter says, read one small page a day where you find encouragement and inspiration. Incorporate this duty into your daily habits. It will enrich you with jubilation, clearing away the clouds that could envelop you in the hours to come and leading you to well-being in case there is some disagreeable surprise. Everyone needs a good counselor. And on this page, which you will extract from the Gospels, you will find the secure guideline and the word of wisdom for any situation. If men would just reflect a little before acting, they would avoid countless evils. Since others are not doing it, why not do it yourself? On this note, since we already read a page of this amazing book, let us pray. Let us ask our dear Creator to guide us, to envelop all of us with the love that we need, the encouragement, all the necessary treatment and kindness that we came here for. We are thankful for this amazing opportunity, for being together once more. Yes, virtually, soon to be physically, but until then, we send our warmth and welcoming heartfelt hugs to one another. With our Master Jesus within us, helping us, guiding us. And tonight, why not express our gratitude to have our dear friend Adriano with us once more here at SSB. And we ask that he is illuminated, guiding all of us here in the physical realm, in the spiritual realm. Those who will be watching this video later on, and those who may not be watching or who will not watch, let us send our good vibrations. Let us collectively do our part to send goodness throughout this beautiful planet Earth. We are thankful, dear Lord, and so be it. As usual, as we like to say, today we have our dear friend Adriano Barbo here with us, who will be talking about the peace within us. Adriano Barbo, he is a good worker of the Mount Vernon Spiritist Center in New York. He has been doing this job and this work, and we say this with a good heart, for many, many years, giving talks in many Spiritist Center, especially in the tri-state, in Connecticut, New York, New Jersey. Here he has been with us several times. As I like to joke with him, he is a walking library because he has a lot of reference. He can always go back to certain books that he has read, his Spirit's book and many other books, to enlighten ourselves and to guide us with his knowledge and the Spiritist teaching as well. On that note, I would like to pass the word to Adriano so he can conduct this amazing evening to all of us. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's my turn. um, Good evening, everyone. Um, I feel grateful to join the SSB in this evening. Join with friends for a long time friends, many years together, and seeing each other once in a while. We see how much we have endured and gone through. Maybe quite a while we don't see each other. However, we know the struggles that we face, and We see how much Spiritist has helped us, and the news that we have from other people in the Spiritist movement is so. Join everyone today here in the SSB. I feel grateful for the opportunity to speak. Of course, my simple words and simple reflections that I like to bring about this topic. Um, and it's the peace within us. We know that the world today, in every country that we turn the TV on, the news shows us a lot of violence within families, groups of societies, and we see how much we need peace. A couple weeks ago, when I thought about the not about the topic itself, the peace within, but I was thinking about speaking in a way that helps us in a way overcome and find guidance for the moments that we face in nowadays related to these difficult situations where there are so much violence in words and actions. And I came upon the prayer of Saint Francis, which is so beautiful. Um, and throughout these minutes that we have together, I would like to bring the prayer a little by little. So we've been discussing it. It's a very simple prayer, but there are a lot of things that we can extract from it. However, before I came upon the prayer of Saint Francis, that I always read it to help me. Um, the idea of peace, the idea I brought from a passage in the gospel actually. I would like to I'm gonna read it here. So I introduce within the prayer so you understand what I'm trying to say. This passage is in Matthew 5:41. There's different version of the same verses, but basically it says the same. One verse says the following: If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Another version say, it's not in the PowerPoint, that's why I not brought to you there. If a soldier demands that you carry his gear for 1 mile, carry it 2 miles. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. There's five versions of the same chapter, basically saying the same, which was Jesus, our master, had said. It was quite common in Jesus' time where the soldiers from Rome, the Roman citizen, they would be traveling through Israel. And of course, by horse or by foot, they would carry a lot of luggage, gears. And there were the law that if a soldier asks a common citizen from Israel to help him carry his gear, his luggage, he had to help him for 1 mile. That was the law. And Jesus, that's why Jesus brought here. If a soldier asks you for 1 mile, give him two. So this prayer of Saint Francis, I think it matches in some way perfect because Jesus was inviting us not only to do what is expect us to do, what is the law telling us to do, especially when we engage in learning the lessons of Spiritism, the lessons of the gospel, the lessons that Jesus brought us. We are expected to behave in some way. However, we today we feel surprised even among spiritists, among religious people that have faith, follow the guidance of Jesus, when we see people, for example, giving forgiveness for a very difficult situation, or helping someone truly, a very big act, we feel so surprised that these people have the courage to do such actions. I think if we were to think deeply, we weren't to be surprised that people would do those such a big actions that in some way we feel so surprised, because the common things that we do in our daily lives, like helping each other, being good friends to each other, helping our families, being a good citizen, paying our taxes, following, the civic laws, this is supposed to be normal. It is not for us like, this is a very good person. Adrian is a very good person because he helps such a person. He pays his taxes. He does this, he does that. However, if we think deeply on it, how many reincarnation we have had on earth? Just to speak about earth, dozens of reincarnations, a multitude of experiences, how much achievement we have had throughout all the reincarnations that we have had. We have our failures, we have our successes, and the amount of knowledge, the amount of experiences that we have already today is enough for us to go beyond 1 mile. Is enough for us to do more than the average, more than the expected. We see among friends and the people that we know that sometimes we do such things, and we see that we see ourselves as in somewhat doing special things. We're so special because every month I give a lecture in spiritism. Once in a while I go to the nursing home. Once in a while I give food to the people in the streets. Once in a while, i I forgive someone. And those actions in some way, we like think that we are doing a lot. But if we take the Jesus words, to reflect on them, we are, those things is just the first mile. We are yet to go over, the beyond the first mile, because the second mile is that really tells us that we are doing more. It's not because uh, we are asked to do more than we can do. If we analyze ourselves and see how much we have, we are ready to go beyond the first mile. We are ready to do more than people expect from us. We are supposed to surprise people every day in our lives with our actions, with our words, with our thoughts, with our behaviors. However, yet, very, seldom, once in a while, people feel surprised about our actions because we are doing as much as everybody else on earth, basically. But we are today asked to go beyond the first mile. And the prayer of St. Francis is is about this, and as I gonna discuss with you throughout the next slides. So we're gonna put this slide here. Okay, I guess um, not moving forward. What is it? Leo? Sorry, people. Okay, here we go. I gonna read from the phone here because I can't. Actually, can. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Saint Francis, as just summarize a little bit here, Saint Francis, he was a rich young man who had abandoned his rich life to live among the poor. And his philosophy wasn't to preach the gospel basically through words. His philosophy given to the followers was to act, to do, to help. And whenever is needed, strictly needed, we use the word. So basically, the, St. Francis was about action, and he knew that he needed to help people. He needed to pass Jesus' teachings to the people through his actions, helping the hunger, giving the word for whomever needed. So that's why this prayer is all about action. Because first, when he starts the prayer, he asked Jesus, he asked to make him an instrument, to make him a tool of action. Because, of course, we humans, we spirits, we are, of course, in some way a tool in God's hands. Let me put this way here. However, if we are this tool but is idle, what is this tool for? The tools that we can be is to be in action, constructing every day in every day. So, in a way, St. Francis is inviting us to let us, do things with God. When we ask to be the instrument of God, this means that we have to be the instrument of goodness, passing forward all the teachings that Jesus has given us, or what we have learned in Spiritism, for the people that we know on earth, in our job, in our homes, in the internet. And he says here, where there is hatred, let me sow love. So basically, we could extend more the prayer, but basically, he's inviting us to, whenever we see a situation in need, we act properly on it. Like he said here, when there is hatred, what is needed to be done? Love. What heals hatred is love. Coming back a little bit on the reflection, as walking the second mile, it's very important to us to understand that we need God. We are the needed ones. Throughout our experience, when we start growing the actions of goodness, sometimes our pride takes a little bit of it because we think that God is so much in need of us to turn ourselves into the instrument of goodness and say, like, I'm too important. God needs me to spread the word. God needs me to help someone. God needs me to forgive. God needs me to be charitable. No, I need to be charitable. I need to be helpful. I need to be a forgivable person. That's I, that's us that needs, because by doing those things, those actions, is by these actions that we evolve, by those actions that we purify ourselves, because without actions in goodness, in love, in forgiveness, as we're going to see throughout the prayer, we can't evolve spiritually. We can't evolve morally. And not evolving morally, we are unhappy. So when we ask to be an instrument, we see that we desperately need to embrace it because we are in need of it. It is very, very important to us, to ourselves. So, whenever we see situations not only coming to us that daily presents to us spontaneously, we should embrace them as a ultimate and very important opportunity that has given to us, so we can develop ourselves through these works, right? We can't evolve ourselves unless we act. And not only the prayer, I think, invites us to do whatever spontaneously life presents to us, but look for, research in some way, go beyond it. Not only the things that our home offers us, our friends sometimes asks us, calls us for help, or we see someone in the street in need and we give something for them. No, sometimes we have to look on a newspaper. Sometimes we have to give a call. We have to look for ways to be useful in many ways, of course, helping someone in need financially, or offering an advice. Because the more we are this channel for goodness, the better we turn ourselves and the happier, more peaceful we are. And of course, the peace within us doesn't come only through meditation, which was one of very big step. However, is by acting, because by acting we are liberating our inner light, and liberating our inner light, we illuminating not only ourselves, our within, we are bringing to the world the best, the goodness, and we are, of course, creating here the structure for the future peace that will envelop every human being. So, whenever there is hatred, and who doesn't see hatred every day? Not only in the TVs that portrays it in every second of the way, but on the streets, there's people, yelling at each other. Traffics are terrible. In New York, we see these fights every day. So, where there is hatred, let us sow love. Let us not pass forward the same hatred. When we see a news that is bad, let us cut it there. When someone, are gossiping or bad mouthing someone, let us cut it there. Put a stop on the evil in all its shades. And then when it stops on us, we act doing love. And then we look for ways to do those things. Not only sit in our homes, sit in front of our computer sometimes, and wait for the word to come to us. We have to engage more. I think that's what Jesus is expecting us to do when we offer to ourselves and ask him to be the instrument. And here, San Francisco, where there is injury, pardon, or forgiveness. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. We see this today. All this is happening right now around ourselves. Doubt, injury, despair, darkness, sadness. This pandemic, the COVID pandemic, brought sadness for millions of people. We see the United States that, I don't know, I guess almost 500,000 people has discarnated through COVID, right? And let us imagine the sons, the daughters, the spouse, the wife, the close people that were together, that they were saddened by the departure of their loved ones. It's a lot of people that stayed on earth and saw their friends, saw their relatives, their brothers, their sisters being taken away. And a lot of those people, maybe the majority, wouldn't have the gospel, wouldn't have the future that we see in spiritism about reincarnation, about life in the spiritual realm, about eternity, about the love of God, about Jesus. And they stay, in this situation where doubt would consume them, would bring despair to them, would bring darkness to those people. How many, orphans are out there right now because of the pandemic situation? In United States, in Brazil, in Africa, everywhere, millions and millions of people. And then we are invited to take part on bringing what San Francis are telling us to do. Bring joy for these people. Bring light, bring hope, bring faith, bring forgiveness. There's this political dispute, there is this racial dispute, there is dispute for everything. What it needed in there? Understanding. We need forgiveness. For those people, that is sad, we need to give them joy. We have to bring light, speak positively, speak, uh, you know, in a way that bring hope for the people. By the way, Spiritism is all about hope, and hope is the medicine for depression, for psychiatric illnesses of many kinds, and we all have these. But however, what we see sometimes is that we sit in our chairs complaining about the pandemic, complaining about the political dispute, the trying to sometimes even take sides and say these ones are right, those ones are wrong, instead of seeing the situation and act what we already have, right? Guess um this is the best of times. I would maybe quote Charles Dixon. This is this is the best of times for us, right? We are incarnated. We have spiritism that we have gained a lot of knowledge. We have the knowledge of the support of the spiritual world. We can pray with faith. We have everything, right? And we have a feud out there, starting in our own families, daughters, sons, spouse, and etc. The people that groups together with us in our home, as well in the work, and in general in the population. That we have plenty of opportunity to just do what we already have. I guess we we don't have time And I guess we waste a lot of our energy discussing topics and probabilities and things that doesn't really help us, and sometimes even takes the worst of us, which is we get angered. We get upset with people because they act this or that way instead of do what we came to do. And let us so make a list like that this prayer or are asking in us, and we're gonna see how much we can do. um Sometimes we say that we are not ready, but basically we are. When we say that we are not ready, maybe some things, very few things in life, we are not ready. But when he talks about goodness, when he talks about the gospel in general, all those things that is brought in the prayer, we are ready to do on it, to act on it. Maybe I'm not gonna give 100% joy. I'm not in light bring illumination to all darkness. However, and of course, we can bring a little light to someone every day. We can bring a little joy to someone every day. We can bring forgiveness every day. Talks about forgiveness. Sometimes we see little group of people, they join together for talk. They talk about politics, they talk about religion, they will talk about work, or they talk about somebody else's life. And we see that the conversation, the dialogue between those people, most of the time are negative, pessimist. They are telling jokes, they are complaining, they are, complaining about this and that. When we join those group, maybe it's two people, three people, many, many cases, we see that when we join them, we tend to join them with the same tone of conversation. If they are bad mouthing someone or complaining in some way, we tune with them to do the same. What is asked to us is when we join those groups, we try the best ourselves to change for the best. If they are pessimists, let us bring a little tone of optimism. If they are complaining, let us help them understand that the situation is the best. Let us not be contaminated by the majority. And many occasions we can help those people change their way, those conversation and their view about the world and about themselves with few words, with a little effort. However, those are the opportunities. These people, they are not gonna join themselves and knocking our doors and ask for us, to enlighten them with the proper way of conversation. We have to in some way introduce ourselves, put a little effort, and sometimes even embarrass ourselves in order to make a difference. But however, sometimes we don't want to embarrass ourselves, um, and we are worried, oh, maybe they don't like it. If we are ashamed to embarrass ourselves in order to help people, and then we'll be very, I don't think doesn't make any sense, because does if we embarrass ourselves in for a good cause. How many times we embarrass ourselves for the worthless things? Those are, it's worth to embarrass ourselves, to help people, to help somebody else to do the what Jesus is asking us to do. O divine master, grant that I may. So he starts that I may. So he is inviting Jesus. He presents himself. Maybe we could start our day before our rush to our work, rush to clear ourselves. And then maybe we can raise our thoughts and say, today, Lord, may I, let me, help me, use me for a good way. That may we say this, may not so much seek to be consoled, but to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. Of course, we need those things because we are imperfect people, imperfect spirit with a lot of troubles in our souls, wounds that need to be healed. When we are invited f- 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 to join um, the workers of Jesus, to be an instrument, God or Jesus of our mentors, they are not expecting perfect people to do the job. They know exactly who we are. They exactly what our problems are, our wounds. So we, of course, need to be consoled. We need to be understood as well. We need to be loved. And we should accept and look to be loved. Look to be understood. Who of us, doesn't want to be understood? It's not because we are spiritist practitioners. We are the spiritist people that goes to the center. That no, I don't need to be loved. I don't need to be understood. Those things. No, I want to help only. I want to love only. I want to be an instrument only. No, that's wrong too because we we are not perfect. There's this phone here somewhere bothering me. So, however, let us not go to the other extreme, waiting only, expecting to be understood always, and not understand people as well. Let us not only seek to be consoled. We go to the spiritual center in the internet or physically to be consoled. But it's not only do that for ourselves. We have to find a balance to for us and for the people, for our friends, for our families, for our enemies. So when we do those share, act forward for the people, and then that's where exactly this word of light grows in us. When we talked about peace within us, we talk about well-being. You know, we can look around ourselves. We can ask people. We can read books, and then we're gonna see that the people there are mostly peaceful. They are happier. They are in a way healthier. Well-being are those people that are doing goodness, that they done their duty. They're that those that walked a little extra than expected, that has given more than expected. It is so true that we feel sometimes bored, that we are doing just fine, okay, doing our prayer, doing our talks, those things that we do mostly every day. We are starting to feel uncomfortable because ourselves, ourself within self, are asking more. asking it's time for you to give another step. And if we observe our actions, those actions that requires us more effort, let's say for example, do a good deed for someone that we dislike. Go and do something for this person that we dislike. Let's start a conversation, something good for this person. That requires us a lot. After we do this action, we're gonna see how much goodness we're gonna feel. We're gonna feel happier. We're gonna feel like some way, proud in a good way, proud in a good way of ourselves. I could do that. I could go to this person that I don't like at all, my neighbor, um, someone in my job, or someone elsewhere. Do something that requires us more than we already given, and then we're gonna see how much our self-esteem goes up. Psychology is already studying that our self-esteem raises when we act. Sometimes we say, and people say, my self-esteem is so low this month, this week, and in a way we are waiting for this self-esteem to raise so we can do things. We can go to the Spiritist Center, read a book, donate something for the good cause, do something good, or just do something. However, this self-esteem is not going to raise, it's not going to come if we don't act. This self-esteem will come when I do things. My self-esteem will raise when I act. Whatever action I do, my self-esteem will grow. So our well-being is growing accordingly to our action. Our well-being doesn't come first. The hard way of working, the effort, the sweat, the embarrassment that we, through doing things in life, good things, facing, a humiliation for the good cause comes first. And then the self-esteem is a consequence of an action. The peace that we want inside of us, that we want to live by, is a consequence of a behavior, of an action, a thought, a prayer, a good deed for somebody, a forgiveness that we give for someone else, or a resignation towards a situation. Those will awaken in us the peace within us. The peace that we look for doesn't come by doing nothing. That's um that's for sure. For it's given that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned. And it is dying that we are born to eternal life. For it's given that we receive, right? Um, it is not that it is a trade. No, it is not a trade. It's when we forgive someone, it is to note that in this prayer, St. Francis is talking about a lot about forgiveness, about pardoning. Maybe we think that forgiveness is when we have enemies, when people does bad things uh, directly to us. They direct some bad things towards ourselves. Not necessarily, because We see in us, in people, that they are resented against population. They are resented against the world, and they feel anger. They have to forgive the world. They have to forgive the society for the way they behave. They have to forgive the neighbors, the companies that sometimes, doesn't act in a gospel way. And we see a lot of people so resented against the system, that the system doesn't help. The system is corrupt. This country, that country, and then we are resenting ourselves constantly. And we spiritists, we in a way, hopefully, we put a lot of effort to turn ourselves to a better person, to help somebody else, and so forth. And we see that things are not really smooth, that the problems didn't go away. We have to face hardships every day as much as everybody else that are not putting as much effort as we do. And we feel resent about this as well, because we think that by doing those things, some, our path will be much smoother, less problems. But it's not happening yet, and then we feel resented. We question why these people that is corrupted, that seems that the world is a smile to them. All the riches and this and that come so easily for those people, and in a way our hearts troubled. Those are the forgiveness that requires a daily. With this, social disturbances that we live with, around the globe, the political dispute, we I see that, um, I have asked already friends, because I like to talk, every topic with friends, and one of the hot things, the hot topic that is very difficult to talk nowadays, not only here in the United States but in Brazil, is about politics. And we see that some people are, from this X or that. And when they are these, I ask them, can you pray for the other side? They feel easier to pray for an enemy than pray for the other side of the political side. Let's take for example here, if I'm a Republican and the other person is a Democrat. I asked people that are Democrat to pray for the Republican, for the president or for the senators and so forth. They can't do it. They say, I feel better if I pray for my enemy than praying for that. We see that those things causes in us some, uncomfortable feelings, emotions that is very hard to overcome, very difficult to harmonize. And then when St. Francis talks about forgiveness and pardoning many times. He had the vision that, when we take the side of goodness, not necessarily the word will attend to us. And then we have to understand, we have to forgive the world to be the way they are, the people the way they behave, and pray for them sincerely, because by turning ourselves to the instrument of goodness, that's the ultimate reward that someone is looking for. In in Jesus time, or even with the prophets, whenever came a mission, a very difficult mission, that someone maybe will lose their life in that mission, there were dispute for that mission. There is a passage in Isaiah. I'm not sure. I forgot the chapter and the verses, but the prophet Isaiah was supposed to had an invitation for people to do a very difficult mission that would require and maybe lose a life. Isaiah would say, God, let me be your agent for this mission. He eagerly volunteered. So whenever had this difficult, this hard mission to accomplish, there were a lot of good souls that they would dispute among themselves to take that mission to do the job, right? And the more difficult the job that were to done, they would feel even better because we have to see this way today. Whenever there's a multitude of difficulties come to our life, difficult son, difficult daughter, difficult relationships everywhere, it's because God knows that we are able to carry the weight. God knows that we are able to figure out. We are already ready with the teachings to solve the situations the best way. And then we should be really, in a way, happy for those things happening to our lives, not because we are irresponsible, that we are not taking care for our business, of course, but if those things happen in despite our effort, it's because God entrusted us a big mission. And by entrusting us this big mission, it means that we are more important than before. And if we are this instrument, we are, of course, developing ourselves, and that's the reward. We talk about, for example, just I guess my time is about to be over. Um, about charity, for example, we understand that the consequences of charity by helping others in all different ways brings good benefits, mental health, emotional health, a lot of good things. We be more peaceful and so forth. There is this general idea that those things will happen in the future. When I pray for someone for so long, in the future, good things will happen to me because now I'm gaining credit for it, for doing the job, for helping someone, for going to the spiritual center, for giving money for a needy friend or a needy somebody else, by forgiveness. We await the benefits to come in the future. Maybe this future can be tomorrow, or in another reincarnation, or in the spiritual world. Some people would say, I'm doing this now. I'll wait because when I discarnate in the spiritual world, I will have a good place among good spirits and not having the trouble that I have now. So, in a way, they're doing now, expecting the rewards, the benefits to come in the future, sometime in the spiritual world. In many cases, we even project this benefit for next lifetime. This life, I've been this, doing this. However, I'm doing this now because my benefits, the rewards will come in the next lifetime. One thing that we should keep in mind is that the greater reward is the action itself. When I'm helping someone else, this action is already the reward. The benefit that comes later is less than the action that we are doing itself. We see that my action, my good actions toward myself or toward others, is the reward within the action. Right there, in the moment I'm doing, already experiencing good things. And if I am able to help someone else, is something very important. It's because that God has trusted me to help someone. It's because I am a channel for the spiritual mentors. So I should feel very honored when I'm doing the things. So in a way, the reward is the action itself. And sometimes we do the action and don't see the benefits in it the moment that we're doing. We are waiting for next lifetime in the spiritual world, but the moment is there. It's like prayer. When we pray, the answer of the prayer is the prayer itself. Because not everybody can pray. Some people struggle to pray. They have no courage enough, no strength enough to pray. And when they pray, they have their prayer. They feel better right away in the moment of prayer. So the prayer itself is the answer for the prayer. Sometimes we pray for someone, we pray for ourselves, awaiting benefits for the future. But however, the prayer itself is the answer. Is the answer. Because right there when I'm praying, it's because something really good happened to me. I had to have the strength. I had to have the light, the moment for the prayer. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. So in a way, the prayer is the greatest, um, answer in itself. Like the good actions that we do. Let us not try to figure out the future benefits, but if we keep that in mind, and then we're gonna see, you know, uh, how great it is when the opportunity is presented to us, and and we're gonna look for more and more ways to be on this instrument of help for the world. And here I brought the whole prayer that I can read. I think I have only 3 minutes. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace where there is hatred. Let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon, or forgiveness. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may, not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is dying that we are born to eternal life. When the old self fades away, the old ways of thinking, that we carry. For example, the Saint Francis, he had to give up a lot of things to make what he had made. We had the experience already. Um, we are not evolved or have all the possibilities to make all the goodness that is needed so easily. Usually we have to sacrifice a lot of things, as St. Francis has sacrificed. He had sacrificed his life with his father, with all the riches that his father had. He had to give away his old life so in order to have his new life with the poor people. Of course, um, it is him. We are not requested to do that, but if we really see, we have every day to sacrifice something for better. Maybe we have to sacrifice a day with our families to help somebody else. We have to sacrifice a little bit of money that we would earn in order to help somebody else because we are not going to work for some reason. So if we see that there is a little sacrifices that we have to do every day for the greater cause, we can't do everything yet. So in this way we have to cut and die away our old self that we used to be before, right? Have this strong point of view that the right thing is this way. you know there's so many things that we have to give up about ourselves in order to be a better instrument of every day. And let us not ever say that we're not ready for that. It is just an excuse for, of course, not really engaging. And just to finish up, God is not asking us to do miracles. If we just do the little part that uh, um, we do and look for us to put this prayer here in practice, how many commands, guidance there are here. Those will be enough to bring a lot of peace, not only to us, to our families, but to the world itself that we so wish that will turn better soon. I guess my time is over. Oh, actually, I took 2 minutes. Um, Thank you, everyone.
Adriano, thank you so much for these amazing words that you brought to us here. I would like to, make a comment because, we always listen or read and say it right for ourselves. Asking in a how am I going to say a receiving mode. I think that the way that you are in a passive mode, right? I think that what you're bringing to us is more to be more at a active mode when we are praying, when we're saying these words, right? And to be more of a I want for me, but what I want for me to do for the world, right? And I think that you're setting the tone here, setting the bar much higher than what we, at least for myself, for what I have seen in terms of or have practiced when I read this amazing message from some friends of us. And obviously the 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 man in himself, right, sets the standards pretty high, extremely high for all of us, and it's not a bad thing because we tend sometimes to equate ourselves to the craziness that is going on in the world just because we took some further steps than others, and we say, oh, it's okay, we're above average. But the idea is really to get even higher. And when we talk about Jesus, to get to Jesus, perhaps, obviously we want to get to him as much as possible. Saint Francis of Assisi is with no doubt a great way as well. So thank you for these amazing words to enlighten us and to give this amazing spin to this prayer and bring into light Saint Francis of Assisi. So thank you. We do have many of us who actually have connected, to listen to this amazing talk. What we would like to do is to say hello to everyone, welcome those who will be watching us in the future as well. And it's always good to be able to share a word and ideals like this. I'll ask our friend Daniel to present some of the comments that we have here. I would like to start with Yasko when she says, Greek material journal, while denying pride, vanity, and selfishness as our traits, we proclaim we are entitled for this or that for ourselves, our family, community, country, etc. But don't you agree entitlement is behind our personal and societal conflicts, prejudice, wars, and disputes? How to educate ourselves, and especially our children, to empower their self esteem, humbling themselves. So I'll say the question again: how to educate ourselves, and especially our children, to empower their self esteem, humbling themselves.
I guess I guess I'm
You,
sure that is by acting according to what we have learned, because we see that children they learn more through seeing in us the examples that we give than anything else. We are desperate sometimes to um, bring them for the center, for they see the lecture, or they go to the classes. But in reality, those are the lesser important. It is important, but the most important is they see in us the actions, the humble in us, how we speak to people, how we present ourselves, what we are. That's the education that they really need. Is that I think to me is that. And education sometimes, well, because they're out there even in spiritism, thousands of techniques that we can learn, that we help, but none of them would compare to the examples that we live by every day.
perfect, thank you. And it is true. We have discussed this here a couple of times. This idea of, what ways can we take? We can choose many ways, but if the true examples are not that, the ideals that we present in our lives are not exemplified day in and day out, certainly anything that we choose in between is not going to help, right? So thank you for that. Next question, I would like to ask Daniel to bring the question up, and actually from Daniel. Hi, Adriano, don't you think that to achieve peace within, one must know him or herself, or is it not necessary? So the knowledge of oneself is necessary.
Sir Daniel's
Daniel, unmute him, please.
question, I would like to comment a little more on the other before. There's this book that I read about a research about the impact of religion in people's life, in the families, and they researched 23 things that impact families, that religions impact family. Prayer, seeing videos, good videos, 23. And the one that most impact the children, family, is just I have said, the example. The walking and talking. That's is and when we see that research, we see how much it impacts the children, impacts the family. So sometimes, like I said, the prayer is very important. Seeing good movies is very important. Bringing to the spiritual center is very important. But according to the research, that comes maybe in third, in second, in fifth, and the one that comes in first is the conversation we have with children and what they see we do. And talk about Daniel's action question. It is, of course, to know ourselves, but sometimes to know ourselves, we have to do things, right? Sometimes we think that we are able to do one thing, one action, helping someone there. Let's say, for example, in the center, people say, I want to help in the psychiatric hospital where there are mental illnesses, and they think they are ready for that. They some of them even may say that. However, when they come to the situation, they would see that is much harder, and some people even don't go for the second day. There are a lot of things in life that we may think, and sometimes we see with certainty that we are ready for this or ready for that. I'm good enough for this thing. However, when we are in the situation that we see that sometimes we are not ready, and sometimes there are other things in life that we think that we are not ready yet, that we don't even try. But sometimes comes opportunity that we can't hide, that we can run, and then we do it, and then we say, "Oh my God, I thought that I couldn't do it." Wow, how I came to know that by doing the things, right? And then by doing the things I discovered myself is by the relationship that we have someone with the people around ourselves, that we discover ourselves. We see that I'm not good with someone that has this kind of temper. I'm not good with somebody that has this kind of issue in his life, because this touched me so much. I'm sentimental, and so all these things in life will let us discover ourselves and know ourselves. And you know to have this peace, of course we have to know ourselves, but without the actions that is required, that go for prayer for someone, go to to join a group of people that goes to the nursing home, or do whatever things that brings goodness to others, and then we are discovering ourselves. Because just by only theoretically studying ourselves, observing only with no action, actually it's not really kind of knowing ourselves, because we really know ourselves when we're done with the experience. We say, I'm succeeded, or I have succeeded, or I have a lot of to learn still with this experience. And then we have, of course, the experience that tells us. Um, I think, but definitely know ourselves is very important.
Much like speaking about a specific taste or smell, if you never had the opportunity to go through it, right? So I like the explanation that you gave in terms of, you have to go through the experience to get to know yourself. If you're gonna say, I don't like this, or I need to adjust this, even to try to adjust yourself to a situation or accommodate yourself somewhere, we need to go through it. So thank you for the enlightenment, and that's very helpful. I will bring the next question up. Daniel, please, if we can bring the next question from Kirsten. How can we achieve peace within when there is so much turmoil around us?
Oh, of course, that's why it called peace within. It's not peace. It's not peace outside, because the disturbance around, of course, affects us very deeply, because we are not really free of all the prejudices that we carry yet. We are not high evolved spirits, because when we see the good spirits like Pierre Menez, Chico Xavier, all these kind of spirits, they work in very troubled atmospheres. They come to rescue spirits in the very lower zones, with there's cursing, there is chaos, and they don't lose their cool or they don't lose their peace. They basically remain the same, because the outside environment is really not contaminating their world within. However, to us, of course, it is very difficult, because the actions surround ourselves is in some way touching ourselves, the best of us, in the things that is good in us, and then the bad things. And of course, this is an alert to us if we are in an environment, someone or a certain situation that triggers something bad in us, something negative. It means that there are things, certain thing in us that has to adjust, that has to be worked. And that is good, because we getting to know ourselves. Let's say, for example, go to New York, and go around Times Square. There is a lot of situations in there. A crowd of people, people is sneezing, and some people are cursing. There's kind of, in some way, I would say, a little chaos. And some people react very bad, because in a situation that is some way hostile to them. So it means that there are something inside of them that is not harmonized with this kind of environment. So it's not the problem. The problem itself, not the exterior. The exterior is just showing ourselves what we should be working in inside. But I guess uh, that in the degree of evolution that we are normal people on Earth, we I guess in this lifetime we be affected very often, and hopefully many reincarnations from now we can literally go anywhere, live anywhere among whomever disturbed people are, and then we will remain peaceful. But until then, we have, of course, to take these situations to really work whatever awakens in us. And it is good too, because otherwise we don't see what is have to be done and work it within ourselves.
Thank you, Adriano. And very beautiful example of, our mentors, other mentors that we have read in the Spiritist literature, that they're able to do the work. And many times the work is not easy, most of the time, if we can say that way, but they still maintain their cool, they're responsible to the task at hand. So thank you for that. We'll go ahead and bring the next question from Paula. Paula asks, how do you think people come to realize that they are being charitable more from ego or self interest? Are there questions they can ask themselves, like a motivation type of inventory?
Um, Thank you for your question. I, of course, my response wouldn't, of course, be the best one. Um, to me, is I think it's naturally comes to someone. We do it, and people do more than we do. But in a way, all of us, in some way, sometimes act more within our with our ego than really genuine charitable action. And I think is this realization comes spontaneously in our life in many times. Depends on someone's dedication of learning things, spiritual things. For friends that I know, and for me, for example, that goes to the center many times a week, read many books, it is much faster because we see examples that resembles ours. The teachings that we read in some way um, spontaneously awakes in us, and reminds us the actions that we done that weren't so pure as we thought. So in a way, it's kind of faster to realize things in this way. However, for others, they are not yet dedicating themselves for this kind of study and research and observation of themselves, and will take longer, of course, because will take a moment which someone will remind them. Let's say, for example, someone do charitable work out of the ego, and a friend or somebody else will call the attention. How can you do this? Don't you see that is not the right way? Don't you see? So this kind of reminder would awaken the person for the situation. But I think if the person is really open to refine themselves, of course, every time, or most every time, or whenever it's possible, just try to think and observe oneself, and ask himself if you were really pure, or the most pure possible. And I guess for me is honest with oneself. Decide to do your best. Help with the best that we have. And if the best that we give, the best that we have, it is still contaminated with a little bit of our pride, with our ego, let it be. And because we have given what we got. And then through the practice that we do every day, we we refine ourselves. We do better next time because we are learning from the experiences, and the experience is awakening in us better things. We turn to be more compassionate because we were, in relation, talking to someone that were in need. We went to a nursing home, we went to the hospital, we go to see a friend that is in need, and the situation itself, in a way, awakened in us different possibilities. And then in every experience, we are growing, experiencing, and then we are learning things, and then of course over time, with years of working, we are doing better and better, and our actions is being more pure and pure. But I think we are so human yet, and so in the beginning of our learning, that is very hard, of course, to say about someone in ourselves that our action is totally 100% pure. We are still very learning, and I guess the most important now to us and people is do the best that we can and do goodness, and throughout time all things will improve.
Very well, Adriano. This is it's a compassionate mode that we display with ourselves and with one another. Perhaps now charity it is based on something personal, right, that we have inside of us, to say the least. And hopefully, in the future, we will realize with the goodness that has been done, that the our intention should also change, so that the charity can be more dignified. So, thank you. Great question, Paula. Great question. Great answer also, Adriano. Thank you. Alba says, thank you, Adriano. When faced with social, civil turmoil, when violence and aggression are rampant, how can we be an instrument of peace? How to overcome it, overcome fear?
I think, when there's sadness, we try to get the most joy that we get, and give out there. When there is darkness there, let us see how much light we have, and spread it. Like send a message, do a prayer, send an email, send a text message. So those things that are in the prayer, that is exists, in us, in some degree, and those situations will present, and then we say and stop. Let's see what I have positively in here. So if there is this situation that is hatred, so of course love is the healing component, and then we see how much we love we have, and then it's spread out there, the ways that we can. Like there's many ways we can go talk to the people, to the person, um, face to face. We can send a message, or we can stay home and pray, or we can ask people to pray for somebody else. And whenever possible, we can ask people to understand the people, the situation. So I think the situation we present every day, and then we should ask ourselves what we have that we can help, and then whatever we have, despite the little it is, we give it. If it is just a drop of joy, let us just give a drop of joy. That's what I have. That's what I'm gonna give. And then I think, for me, is that.
Thank you, Adriano. Great way to be, connected and to be participant in whatever way we can. And sometimes we think that we have to, walk 10 miles when it's really being asked to walk 2 miles instead of just one. So give the little bit that we have a little bit more, and I think that will go a long way. So thank you for the answer. Thanks for the question, also, Alba. Next question, I believe we have a couple more. Some more comments here. Very good talk. Thanks for the reminder of peace within, no matter what's happening externally. This comes from Abby. And I think we have Rosalda also saying, Adriano, thank you, thank you for bringing this powerful and timely message. It is true. We all need these reminders, right? To be more active, to be more appreciative to what we have, the little that we have, and this little that we have, it goes a long way for other individuals as well, our brothers and sisters. And then Joyce Magalhães is also saying, Dear Adriano, so nice to hear you. We miss you, my friend. Thanks for the lecture. Warm hugs from Canada. So a good friend from Canada following us right now and saying hi as well. Uh, and Kirsten saying, thank you, Adriano. We have one more comment, I believe. A great, I believe from Abby, right, Daniel? If I'm not mistaken. Yes, very good talk. Thanks for the reminder of peace within, no matter what's happening externally. Actually, we already said that. We already brought that, but it is true. This really comes in a moment where we're transitioning now, perhaps here in the U.S., to hopefully become a little bit more open to connect with one another in a physical way. We thought that we think and we know for sure that we have faced some challenges, having to be away from everyone. But perhaps it is in the moments that we are together physically that we should show what we're asking, right? With this prayer, what we have learned in Spiritism with one another here, during our Saturdays, during our studies, the moments that we do our guided home perhaps we have to put into practice. It's almost time, and it's always hard to say, farewell and goodbye. We are thankful, Adriana, for having you here once more with us. As we like to say, we are already have in mind something for us to reschedule another one, perhaps a continuation of this amazing discussion of this amazing mind and heart that San Francisco of Assisi was for us and still is. What I would like to do is to ask you, Adriano, to say our final prayer so we can bid our farewells to everyone and close this amazing moment that you brought for us. Go ahead.
So, continuing ourselves in tune with the spirituality of light and love that embraces us in this moment, bringing to our surroundings, to our homes, to the places that we are at this moment, in illuminating around ourselves. We feeling so supported. Trust in us grows even more towards God, towards His providence, towards ourselves. And we feel this peace and harmony within us that for so long we couldn't find. The moment in which God awaited to tell us how much He is loving us. And whatever the circumstances that may present to us in our lives, the difficult and challenging, we will have the necessary means to overcome, to resolve it. God and Jesus is inviting us to trust more. Despite all the words, confusion, and disturbances there, our inner peace should remain firm because Christ had overcome much more and much harder experiences on earth. Many heroic souls at this moment bear suffering, bear hardships, and they don't lose their faith and their hope for better days. And we are at this moment invited to see our future, the future of our with its societies and in fraternal, in peace, in harmony. Dear Lord, our Father, thank you so much for letting us be the instrument of goodness on earth. We are aware that we are a very fragile instrument, very limited still, but we trust in Jesus that will multiply the drop of goodness, the little bit that we can get. Many people are traveling in darkness with no ray of light. A little bit of light, perhaps a little candle, will make a huge difference in darkness. So this light can be translated in a good word for people, a good reminder about faith, about the future. We're able to just give a little and get really big things in people. Lord, please help us every day more to be more effective on structuring a better word for the new generations to come. And we that engage in Spiritist teachings, give us the strength to do the right things every day and better and better. We trust our mentors and we surrender ourselves to their guidance, to the good intuitions that we have every day. May this peace that we now experience spread towards earth for the people that hate most. They are despair. They may receive these emanations of love. This emanation of peace is spread everywhere. And our homes be blessed with the presence of the good and pure spirits that perhaps through another words of love are tuning with us in now, and darkness is gone. Only light and harmony remains. And for now on, we are different because we are a little better. Tomorrow and after tomorrow and so on, we grow and grow until we'll be totally in peace. In spirit of Saint Francis, that hears us at this moment with kindness and compassion. May your spirit emanate your light and embraces us and be with us all the step of the way, guiding us throughout our lives. And so, Lord, we are grateful for this prayer and thank you for allowing and giving us the strength that we got to be here praying, talking to one another. This is a blessing. And with these blessings, we like to say Amen. So be it.
Thank you, everyone, for your attention in this moment, and until next time.